Warhammer 40k Darktide just released their launch plans, and they're pretty insane. The developers are no strangers to rolling out this type of game. They've done it before, but this time around, I think the team is really working hard to get out in front of the community and be transparent about their plans as we march towards that November 30th release date. Now, to clear up any confusion, if you pre-order the game, not something we're telling you to do, you get access to the Darktide beta that will run from November 17th up and through launch day on the 30th. This is a pretty interesting technique, one I don't think I've ever actually seen developers try out before, but there's a good reason for that runway. The team wants to roll out content in a sort of phased approach. Week 1, which runs from November 17th to the 20th, includes full access to the game's hub and mission board, 4 changing missions across 4 zones, and regularly run in-game events, or conditions as they're known, namely power supply, interruption, and ventilation purge. We did get a taste for these things during the beta. Power supply quite literally leaves you in the dark, sporadically shutting off all the lights during a mission. It's pretty awful. Week 2 runs from November 21st to the 27th and features up to 8 changing missions across 4 zones, and in-game events and other surprises the team doesn't want to reveal. Week 3 runs from November 28th to the 30th and features up to 10 changing missions across 4 zones, and downtime to get ready for wide release. That downtime occurs on Tuesday, November 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Finally, launch day, November 30th, the game will feature 13 missions across 5 zones, 1 new zone, and new conditions or in-game events. Now, on the surface, it's all a bit straightforward, but what this does is allow the team to really stress test each new aspect of the game to ensure a smooth launch. And we all know what it's like to have a bad launch experience. An important bit of information, and something I think everyone will care about, at least those that pre-order the game, the team has said their goal is to allow progression to carry over from the moment you start playing to full release. They can't guarantee anything, because they do want to reserve the ability to reset everything if something within the progression system isn't functioning the way they want, but that's the goal. If you think this beta is going to be anything like the last, I am happy to report the devs highlighted plenty of new things players could expect when they load in. First is a complete experience with the in-game training ground, which is really a baked-in tutorial, complete with scenarios and interactivity. Second is access to 60+ weapons. This is something I'm personally very excited about, considering we had a limited number of weapons to tap into during the multi-day closed beta. Finally, 4 random conditions that impact the in-game experience. Again, think of these like affixes that change the nature of the gameplay, but also offer increased rewards for dealing with those additional hassles. With the introduction of new maps and the relatively compressed timeline from beta to launch, it's going to feel like a fresh experience nearly every single day from the start of beta, and I, for one, am all for that. The devs really wanted to hammer home some important changes since the last beta, that closed beta I mentioned before, and while I'm not going to read this whole list because, let's be honest, you have eyes, I do want to highlight a couple noteworthy additions to the beta. First is the introduction of the meat grinder to the Psychanium. This will allow players to test out their weapons before going into a mission. Additional changes to the HUD have been made so players can access more transparent information about their teammates. We actually talked about this in our Brutally Honest Impressions video, and I'm excited to see how the changes transform the experience. Having information at a glance is such a small yet crucial bit of detail in these types of games. Another change, difficult maps can now be accessed so long as one member of the team has reached that difficulty threshold, which should make for some fun memories. Finally, switching weapons should now feel smoother, with the switch from ranged to melee weapons happening instantly, but the switch from melee to ranged weapons dependent on the ranged weapon you're switching to. Long story short, bigger weapon, slower ready-up time. There's a lot of good nuggets of information here, so like I said, give it a read. We have linked the full notes in the pinned comment below the video. Unfortunately, not everything made the cut for the beta, and the team talked about a few things that would not be ready on the 17th. An endgame scoreboard that provides some at-a-glance information about the performance of your team, a new spawn point on the Morning Star for players that don't want to run half a mile to get to the mission board, and a more detailed view of weapon stats. At the end of the day, I'm just excited to play Darktide again. I think I can speak for the entire Legacy team when I say the itch to play this game has been gnawing away at us since the closed beta ended. I think it's important to level set though. We've seen a lot of comments on our videos about the pace at which Fatshark releases new content, and bottom line, I don't think things are going to be drastically different than the rollout of content for, say, Vermintide 2. The team has already said they expect a new class within Darktide every quarter, and if we use Vermintide 2 as the blueprint, I think it's safe to say we'll see new content every couple of months. It might be a new class, maybe a DLC, possibly a new map. We just don't know at this point, and honestly, it's not worth focusing on, at least not now at launch time. Anyways, friends, I hope you're just as excited about Darktide as I am. We'll be covering the game top to bottom with guide videos and much more, so if you like our content and you want more Warhammer content in your feeds, consider subscribing. I'm also excited to announce that our first ever Legacy Gaming merch is now available on our website. Head to legacygaming.gg/shop to pick up a shirt, hoodie, or hat. The designs are pretty awesome, and we'll be adding even more in the future. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.